How's it going, everyone? I got to see The Mummy. I got to watch this one in a movie theater. I was very happy to do so because I was actually really looking forward to a pitch that was different for this property. This is Lee Cronin's The Mummy, and I'm a big fan of Lee Cronin. I thought what he did with Evil Dead Rise was fantastic. That is one of the better installments in the Evil Dead franchise, honestly. Not that one has necessarily disappointed me, but this pitch is set up really well for Lee Cronin to direct it, honestly, because in this film we have two parents that lose their daughter, get their daughter back, and realize that something is not quite right. And this does take on the demonic possession approach, which again I really thought Lee Cronin should be perfect for. And on paper this pitch sounds amazing, but this film is really horrible. I hate to say that. So as I said, the two parents, they do lose their daughter, and when you see how they lose their daughter, or the daughter gets taken, or whatever you want to say here, it's really stupid. And it's kind of one of those things in retrospect where it's like, why did that happen exactly? Like, and what really makes me laugh even harder is the movie calls it out. These parents are terrible, and then when they get their daughter back, it's very clear it's just no longer their daughter, and they just kind of push through it anyway. Okay, and the first time that they get her back and something happens, I'm kind of like, okay, like I can let that go for now because it is their daughter, and I get what the movie is trying to go for. But then it's like incident after incident after incident, and they just kind of move on with it. I just did not buy these parents being as dumb as they are, honestly, at the end of the day. And I think that that is the detriment to this movie, is characters making very dumb decisions. It's also littered with just general logic problems as well. I don't like the way the film was cut together either. Like, we will hit a plot point and then go away from it for a while, and I don't think it was meant to play in a way that was to throw us off either, because it just kind of feels like the movie just keeps going. Eventually we do follow up on some of those plot points that it cuts away from for long periods of time, much longer than we need to, and then by the time you get back around to the plot, you just don't really care. I will say this movie is trying to be two different movies. It's trying to mix in this sort of like detective story with the demonic possession family kind of story that you've seen a billion times before, which is another thing. On the demonic possession side of the film, like, it doesn't really offer anything new to us. There's one scene involving toenails that I found to be effective, although I'd seen something similar in the movie Bring Her Back that I thought did something like this a lot better. The film is really loaded with CGI, especially in these demonic possession moments. Like, there are times that the daughter's face looks incredibly fake, and it's really sad that The Exorcist can get something like that a lot better and make me buy it more and still be much more effective about that. And you just wonder why not go practical in a lot of moments. There's times that the blood looks incredibly fake and it's just really cartoony. The movie does essentially become a cartoon by the end of it. But the side of the film that I really enjoyed was the detective aspect, honestly, and trying to figure out what happened. I thought that that was a really cool story to follow, and if that had been this whole movie, I might have really enjoyed this. Honestly, I was kind of sitting there like, if they want to make a sequel and just follow the detective throughout the sequel, like, not saying the detective lives, but I was just thinking it while watching it, like, that would be a really interesting series of a detective that has to explore things like in the supernatural realm. And I think that that could have been a really cool direction to go here, but unfortunately it just leans too heavy into a family who has a demonic possessed daughter that we've seen it 100 times, and it just grows very stale at this point. And like I said, I didn't care about the characters anyway. I didn't really care if they lived or died, actually. I mean, except for the children. Obviously you care if children live or die. And I will say, to credit this movie, the child performances are very good, much better than the veteran actors that are in this film. Jack Rayner plays the dad, and he takes way too long to start figuring things out in this movie. Honestly, I love Jack Rayner as an actor. I've seen him in multiple roles at this point that I've really enjoyed him in. I actually think he adds a really great presence in everything that he's in. Everybody has a bad day at the office. There's a grandma character that gets involved, and the poor lady gets her ass kicked this whole movie, by the way. I like can't even not sympathize with that character because of how much she takes in this movie. I mean, she goes flying out a window at one point and lands on a vehicle. It's insane. insanity. It's bananas, and I'm just like, I'm not really here for it, guys. I gotta be honest with you, if you couldn't tell already. And I think that this movie takes just way too freaking long to end. By the time you get to the end of the movie, you're just like, okay, just end it already. I don't need the extra or whatever. If you care about this, I guess it's trying to set up a sequel if you're still with it, if you're still invested, but it just did not work for me. And honestly, I always do try to provide alternatives when I'm bashing a movie this hard. I think the best alternative here would have been just to not make this movie. There is the detective element that did interest me. I probably would have followed that, like, the entirety of it, because there are actual good, like, action and chase sequences in that. Not that the movie needs to be an action movie. I know it's going for a horror movie. I'm just telling you that the action was so strong in the movie that I almost wish that this just became that sort of action movie, but like action with intrigue, right? Like suspense thriller type action, like Seven or Saw or something like that. It's paced terribly. I genuinely was just super duper bored by the end of the film. I don't know how else to explain that. I don't know how many more freeze frames we needed of Jack Rayner looking shocked by events, but it's just really wild to me, because it's like, if you're so shocked the way that you are, even though the warning signs are there, you're a very, very unintelligent person. And this is the whole reason your daughter got in the situation she did in the first place, is your guys' incompetence as parents, which you have acknowledged in this film out loud to the audience. And you expect me to care about you by the end of this. I just don't. All right, guys, I was really expecting better from Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Like I said, Lee Cronin made a very, very good horror movie with Evil Dead Rise, and I really hope upon his next one he could continue that trend. I'd really like to see him do something very good, very much in simplicity, which this movie does not even make an attempt to try to be simple. Form your own opinion, obviously, because I don't think my opinion is going to reflect everyone's. Actually, I did talk to somebody who really enjoyed this movie, so some of you guys might go in there and it might be the movie you're looking for. It just was not for me. So I want to thank you guys for joining today. Once again, my name is Dom. If you like what you saw here today, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, hit the bell for notifications. It's always much appreciated. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys later.